Let's go ahead and start version 15 off with one of the most requested features when it comes to the Essential Graphics panel, and that's the ability to replace graphics, and we call this media replacement. So let's switch over to the Essential Graphics panel, and you'll see that I've already got a bunch of the new media replacement motion graphics templates loaded, and I got those right over here clicking on Adobe stock. You can even click on free, and there's a bunch of free ones up there as well, and start to experiment and play around with these. I've got a promo piece which advertises the new GoPro Hero 9, and I'm just going to click in where I have my marker because this is about where I want to start to add my graphics. And from here, I'm just going to drag one of my templates out that I downloaded from Adobe stock and get an idea what this looks like. And I'm going to go ahead and mute my audio out so I don't need to hear that and play it back. So that looks pretty good. It looks like it's just one graphic that's going in there, but let's take a closer look at this. So when I click in here, you'll see that there's a number of controls, and here's where I can very quickly replace this graphic, and of course that's a placeholder graphic. And on my desktop, I actually have a bunch of images of the camera that I'm just going to use. So I'll just drag this off to the side here, and I'm just going to drag this first one right here. And you can see it's already placed it for me, and I'm just going to maybe adjust the scale on that. Maybe I'll take that down to 135, and if you can see real close, it looks like there's another treatment on there that I may or may not want, so I have the ability to crank it up, or of course in this case crank it down. And even on my text, if I pop out here a little bit, you see I've got this text. I'm going to go ahead and just type in the name of the product. Now, I kind of like the way this is looking, but this is going to be kind of fast moving. So by the time it gets to here, I want another instance of this. So I'm going to trim this back. So this is sort of what it's going to look like. Do a little glitch on there for me. By the time that glitch settles down, I'm going to want another instance. Now I'm just going to hold down the Option key on my Mac or Alt on Windows, and I've made another instance of that. Now I don't need that to be exactly that way because I'm going to come over here off to the side, and I'm just going to drag and drop this number 2 graphic on here. Again, I need to resize that in this particular case. And I'm going to go down to the text. Bring down the size once again, and I'm just going to call this graphic maybe addition. First one, the second one, and the third one, and I'll put that audio back together for you and let you see what this looks like. Let's take a look at where you have multiple images that you can use media replacement in one motion graphics template. So I'll start just by removing these, jumping over here to browse, and I'll grab another one here, drag and drop this down to the timeline. Move this over just a little bit. And when I click into here and I go to edit and I go to media group controls, you'll see I'm presented with 6 media groups that I can jump in here, and you'll see there's a media here, and I'll just drag and drop these just like I did before. And in this case, I'll jump down to media group 2, and I'm going to put 2, media group 3, and for 4, I'm just going to cycle through them one more time. 1, go down to 5, and then 6, I'm going to put that third one more time. So now I'm given all of these here, and let's just go jump back up here and we'll start to adjust these. You see, this gets to be a lot easier if it's created this way, and I'll show you how they're created in just a second. So for here, I might just type in again the word hero, and I'm going to go ahead and bring these graphics down to 135. I'll go back down to 2, and I'll just, again, type in the same text that I had before. Go down to Edit Media, bring that down in size. Go down to Group 3. and just start the process over again. But the effect is going to be pretty cool for a fairly minimal amount of effort, especially if I've got someone designing a lot of these for me, or I just want to create these once and use them over and over again. And it looks like I've got one more down here that I could have a general logo for, and I'll just end up with this last shot of this camera again. And it looks like there's some logo text that I can use, and I'll just put something like, how about in stores now? And that's it. We'll go ahead and just do a quick render on this. This actually won't take very long. So as you can see, motion graphics couldn't be easier, something I'm really excited about. And finally, let me just jump over to After Effects for a minute for those of you that haven't seen how these have been created, just so you know you can actually create these and modify these yourself inside of After Effects. So I'm going to jump over to After Effects. And what I have is I have a bunch of the motion graphics templates here. I'm just going to go to Open Project. And all you have to do is point it at a Mogurt. I've got this one highlighted for me. And when I do that, it's going to expand that Mogurt package. And again, I'm going to just drag this over here so you can see this is the one that it expanded. And it puts all of the parts inside and reveals the AEP file, which is the After Effects file. And you see I've already got the Essential Graphics panel open here. So now I can just look and see where all those controls were inside of Premiere Pro. And again, it's really easy for me to add more things here if I need to. If I wanted to come in here and add some additional text, like maybe year or something like that, I can flip this down, go to my source text, and I can add that wherever I want to add that source text. So I can add that within a group and say, okay, well, there's the year. And when I go to re-export this out, I can bring that back in Premiere. And as you can see, I've just added more elements. So if you haven't seen how motion graphics templates are created, this is a quick glance into that. And there's lots of tutorials up on YouTube, some great ones out there, as well as adobe.com. So I just wanted to share that with you. Premiere Pro version 15 brings a brand new Captions workflow, and we've worked to really make this easy to use. While we've had Captions for a while, as many of you know, it really did need an update on how we interact with Captions. Let's take a look. Let's start by just taking a video file and dragging it to the timeline to create a new sequence. This one looks to be about 50 seconds or so. And you'll notice under the window, we have a new panel that we call text. And when I click on text, I can import captions from a file. And in this case, I'll click on an SRT file. And obviously I can just start a new blank captions track and add those manually. But I'll start with just an SRT file. And I've got a subtitle track here as well as a 608. So I'll go ahead and import that. And it's going to ask me a couple of questions. Again, what format is this? Because again, an SRT file is an SRT file. And then what do I want to do about time code? Do I want to, do, if it doesn't have the proper time code, do I want to use playhead position? Do I automatically want to assume timeline start? In most cases, source time code will match. So I'll say okay. And you can see it comes up right here. I also want to point out that with Premiere Pro 15, we actually have created a new project file. So again, we get lots of questions all the time about hey, I'm on version 14. Can I open that in 15? And the answer is yes, you can. But if you create one in 15, can I open it in 14? And in this case, you can't, because now we have a brand new track item or track type. And as you see here, as I pointed out before, it says subtitles. So just like you have an audio area down here, you have a video area. Now you have a captions area. And again, this is new with 15, which requires a new project type. And of course, you can add additional tracks as well. So if you wanted to add a 608 track, I could go ahead and click 608 and then import one of those in and then add that to here, and I can bounce back and forth. And you can of course do the same thing if you have a lot of different languages and you want to have all those language tracks on there, and you can turn the eyeballs on or off when you go to export. So it is really neat that you can get in there and just have all of these captions in a nice neat area and then bounce between them. But let's go ahead and take a look and see what this looks like. I'll play a few seconds of this so you see it line up.
Terminator Dark Fate is the direct sequel to Terminator 2.
I'll be back.
This is probably the biggest movie that's been edited on Adobe Premiere.
We had 4 assistance editors, we had 3 visual effects editors. All these people are needing to access the project file and write into it at the same time as me, and we were able to do that.
So again, works exactly like you would expect it to. But what really makes this workflow different is this ability to interact with the timeline. So if I just skip up here and let's say that Tim is up here talking and maybe some of this text wasn't correct. At this point, I could go ahead and add additional text. Very easy. And you can see here that not only can I just type it here, I could also type it here. They interact with each other. So just adding things on the timeline and bouncing around to make changes couldn't be easier. And that's really what we were going for. Again, you can look at a lot of these buttons up here to where you can split segments, merge segments, do all these different things, search for certain words in the file so you can kind of jump around. We've also given you a couple of options under the menu over here where you can export this as an SRT file, maybe to hand that off to someone else. Maybe you've typed it up manually, because again, you can actually do that. Or you could even export a text file for someone to read through that, maybe if they just need to do a quick review of the text, maybe someone in legal or so forth. But what really makes this different for me is what we've done on the Essential Graphics panel. So I'm going to pop over to where it says Captions, which is just going to bring up Essential Graphics and kind of put me in that mode. You can get in and make any types of changes that you want to. So let's take a look at that. Now, of course, all rules for the types of captions will apply as far as what's going to actually be displayed. So obviously closed captions like we have in the US 608, 708, and so forth, there are certain conditions that have to be met as far as how it's going to interact with the TV set, for example. But in a lot of countries where they use subtitles and other methods, you actually have the freedom to go in there and say, well, I want to change the color, for example, of the text. So you can just go down to fill, and if I wanted to make this maybe an aqua blue, I'll just click on that. And you can see it's automatically changed it, and the same for the text. So it's going to work for the most part just like you would imagine. And if you liked the look of this sort of heavy font here, you can go up and create a style and just call it, I don't know, I'll call it Ocean Bold or something like that, Impact, because that's the kind of font it is. And I'll click OK. And I also have the ability to say I want to apply that to all of it, which right now it just assumed that I did because I made a preset for that. Or I could just go in and make as many as I want. And as you see here, you can kind of push those to a certain track, sync from the style and so forth. So some pretty intuitive options. You can also obviously place this depending on where you need the text to be. So if I select this text and I bounce it around, depending on what's going on the screen, that's going to stick just for that particular section there. So let me just throw it up at the top. and you see now it's down at the bottom, and maybe I click it over here. Again, all these types of tools are fairly standard, and you have some scales and positions and other things. And again, do you need a background? Do you need a stroke? All the different types of things to really make this stand out. It is also pretty common in some countries where they have multilingual going on to have different color text for different languages or different dialects. So you might see different colors, or sometimes they use them for feeling or expression. So you really do have a lot of flexibility in how you want to handle your captions. So we're really excited to bring this to you. The other thing I'll point out is when you're done, just like always, if you bring up the export settings here and you go under captions, you do have the ability to burn that on the video or create a sidecar file. There's some systems, by the way, that want you to create a sidecar file, maybe something like a MAM, an asset management system, or something like that. So again, you've got those options. We're really looking forward to bringing you a lot of this in the future as we continue to really work on our captions workflow. Thanks for joining the Tech Table. We'll see you next time.